Okay.
Ah, shit. Damn, we just got demonetized before we even really started the show because I dropped a cable. Good morning. How we doing?
I'm okay. I feel like we're not trying to get too close. Just.
Do you need to order this?
Nope.
Over that?
I guess not now. Sean Stryker says, Green, Timcast, 45, when do we SWAT back? I don't know that we can have that discussion on YouTube.
No, I can have that discussion. It's pretty clear, Sean. We don't, and we don't SWAT back for one simple reason. I have never attempted to murder anyone. I have never tried to kill anyone, and I don't ever intend to. It's that simple. But that's a great place to just start the show, because what we're talking about this morning is swatting. And much like doxing, swatting is attempted murder. Because here's what you're looking for. And there have been several cases where the swatting has ended in the death of the victim. So, what is swatting? It is when someone places an anonymous and erroneous, that is false, police report, the details of which demand an immediate and overwhelming force response from law enforcement. So you call in, a bomb threat is not the one. It's going to be something like a terrorist type hostage situation, right? Hey, Tim Pool's got 4 people at gunpoint, and he's trying to ransom this cat back to some journalist that wrote a dirty article about him. I shit you not, that was one of them.
Well,
there was a whole thing about Tim Pool kidnapping somebody's cat and trying to ransom it back.
The one that specifically happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene was that someone had been shot 5 times.
Yeah. And so what the things that make it a swatting are that the threat or the claim is so egregious that the police with a SWAT team, special weapons and tactics, respond under the assumption that they are going into a dangerous situation where they are likely to encounter gunplay. And so you end up with a specially trained team, assuming that they're basically running into a wall of bullets, and treating it as such, so that the result is, while Marjorie Taylor Greene and her family are happily asleep in their beds, armed men kick down the doors with guns raised, screaming demands. Tim Pool has been swatted 8 times this year. And
he's been swatted so many times, though, like, the cops are
right.
like, okay, Timmy, sorry. You know how this works. Like,
and I've seen some of the behind the scenes security footage from the cast castle on the first or second big swatting where he actually got up and left the room. This was actually the one that was right after Marjorie Taylor Greene was on Timcast. So MTG goes on Timcast one night, and the very next night they get swatted while they're live. Tim Pool gets up and walks out of the room, lets the guests keep doing the show, and later we get to see the behind the scenes security footage. Tim's out there talking to the police. He's like, "No, this is private property. I do not consent to your entry."
Where's your warrant?
And they told him, and this one was especially interesting because the officers told him, "No, we have extenuating circumstances due to the nature of the call. We don't need your consent to enter and search the premises." And then, of course, later, and I suspect and hope that Tim Pool is filing massive lawsuits against the police involved because of this. Later, we actually get the copies of public record police radio conversations that occurred en route to the cast castle as a result of that swatting, where the police said very clearly to one another on the radio that they believed it to be a swatting. They believed it to be an erroneous call. And then when they got to the site, they treated it like it was a legitimate threat, despite not having the reasonable belief that that was the truth. And with any luck, Tim Pool will absolutely skin them in court over that. And then, of course, he's been swatted repeatedly since then.
He might have a chance at it, whereas most people would not. But it's sort of like we talked before about the temporary protection order, that, like, literally any woman in your house could get you thrown out of your own house just by going boo-hoo to a local to a local judge here in Rockdale County. And apparently it is known. It just depends on who you ask. Like, Papa Sheepdog said that he felt like 90% of them were BS. I've had other people tell me that they've felt like 75% of them were BS. But in any event, it is known in the law enforcement community and in courts and in everything that somewhere well above the majority mark, those TPOs are BS. They're sour grapes. Somebody trying to gain an advantage in a divorce, typically, that kind of thing. However,
and that's backed up by the statistics that show us that women actually commit more domestic violence than men.
However, okay, are you going to be the judge that says, no, I'm refusing to issue this temporary order based on your word of fucking mouth?
Yeah, why not? I mean, Gonzalez v. Castle Rock says that the law doesn't actually matter, so if he violates the TPO, I'm not in any trouble. It's not my duty to protect the TPO recipient.
Yeah, but what I mean is
But no, you're correct. The politics of that are very, very, shall we say, tricky.
Yes, and it's the same thing here. Like, if you're
you don't want to be the judge that has to look at the camera and say, I should have believed all the women.
Exactly. Well, and it's look, you've got the situation with the Uvalde police chief who got fired yesterday. Okay, like, here was a situation where you needed to go in and kick down doors, and apparently you didn't need to kick them down because they were unfucking locked. However, you had an actual verifiable threat, and that's cool. You could tell your cops to wait a minute. That's fine. But when you've got one of those, oh, well, you know, that mean alt-right guy, Tim Pool, or in this case, that mean QAnon alt-right type, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right.
Might have somebody who shot somebody else. It's, it's madness. So the politics of it from top to bottom, from the cops to the commanding officers to the lawyers to the judges to the whatever. We've allowed the left to dominate the language and how we construct our social rules in such a way where people would rather go on an obviously bullshit call than deal with the optics and political fallout of not going on an obviously bullshit call.
Right.
So, anyhow.
Stryker says under red flag law, all the cops get arrested first. That's an interesting point, and we're not going to take the time to address it. But
oh yeah, cops and vets.
You just made me think about something.
Oh, dude, cops and vets. No, they want the people that have got any modicum of official firearms training out of the way first.
Yeah, what about active current police officers?
Dude, you don't think if Papa Sheepdog was
no. I think absolutely. In fact, I think what would happen is all of a sudden every Democrat that lived next door to a police officer would have witnessed a concerning occurrence.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly. Oh, absolutely, 100%. And it's, yeah, it's terrifying. So, anyhow, all the laws that can be abused to just take your rights away without even getting a warrant from a judge. And then let's just bring it back around to Marjorie Taylor.
Yeah, so Marjorie Taylor Greene says she was swatted last night. Now, the article's from yesterday. Last night is night before last. And by last night, what we really mean is basically right before the show yesterday morning, which is why we didn't cover this yesterday. I didn't hear about it until after the show. Far right, and oh God. Okay, so New York Post, you did good, guys, right? These are the Hunter Biden laptop guys, right?
I think so.
You did good.
I don't know. It was never allowed to be disseminated in public. It never had a chance to form a memory.
But truth is, it was the New York Post that got thrown off of Twitter for running the Hunter Biden laptop story. You did good, guys. Don't backslide. Far right rep Marjorie Taylor Greene was swatted early Wednesday in a prank that police say was due to her views on transgender rights. Far right rep Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not far right. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a conservative. What they mean when they say far right, they're trying to imply many, many, many things. They're trying to imply violence, racism, white supremacism.
Absolutely.
Oh, and did I mention violence? And
yeah, but
let's not forget that we're talking, when I say they in this context, I am referring to the people that set your country on fire and were funded directly by the current spit roast in chief, Vice President Cumin Harrison.
You just jammed them all in there.
Oh yeah,
kind of like Kamala.
Kind of like that's what she's for. That's her ode to claim.
Her ode to something. Well, and you know what's really funny is
ode to cheap direct move.
Look, you know what's really funny is calling her far right. A, she'd probably take that as a compliment.
Correct.
B, you're probably guaranteeing that she gets reelected.
Correct.
So, okay.
No, if I could, I'd vote for her.
But
I can vote. I'm just not in her district.
Anyhow, let's can we read a little more of the article so we can.
So last night I was swatted just after 1 a.m., the Georgia Republican wrote on Twitter. I can't express enough gratitude to my local law enforcement here in Rome, Floyd County. More details to come, she added. So, and we got some pictures, pretty blonde chick. Debbie Burnett, the assistant chief of police in Rome, Georgia, said the department was contacted early Wednesday with a report of a subject being shot multiple times at a local address. When officers responded, they discovered it was the home of Marjorie Taylor Greene. She assured the officers there was no issue and the call was determined to be a false call, commonly known as swatting. The suspect, who was speaking through a computer-generated voice, red flag number 1, then called back and said they were upset about Mrs. Greene's political view on transgender youth rights. And Mrs. Greene's controversial, hateful, malicious, violent view on transgender youth rights is you shouldn't be allowed to mutilate healthy children for cosmetic purposes. You shouldn't be chopping healthy breasts off of 14-year-old girls. You shouldn't be opening never-healing gashes in the crotches of 14-year-old boys. They are not, I repeat, not capable of consenting with informed reason to such a grotesque mutilation. Of course, if they are, we should sell them cigarettes and let them vote. So.
Well, and it's not just that, it's everything that goes along with it. We've talked before about, ask not why you should bring your children to Drag Queen Story Hour.
Ask why Drag Queen Story Hour needs your children.
Yeah, exactly. And all the stuff with the bathrooms. We talked before about like the transgender bathroom thing. Like if you're trans and you just shut the fuck up and walk into the bathroom that you feel like you belong in, do your business and walk back out, nobody is going to care. Okay? But no. You're going to force us to care. That's the real reason Marjorie Taylor Greene was swatted. It's not just her views. Even if you think she's crazy, it's not just that she's crazy. It's that she is the fly in the ointment. She is the, the throwing the body in the gears, to borrow the terminology of the left. She is the speed bump. And she's honestly not much more than a speed bump. And so, again, it's like everything else that happened on social media. Like, every time they say we're not allowed to talk about a thing, it'll get your channel a strike, you'll get kicked off, you'll get banned, you'll get this, you'll get that. Every single time so far, those things have been proven correct. So, if Marjorie Taylor Greene is this evil, terrible person who deserves to get swatted over something to do with transgenders, that at this point, and call me a bigot, but seriously, at this point, I'm not even going to play your game anymore. It's imaginary. It's pretend. Okay. I'll be polite. And if you want to change your name from Alex to Alice, I'll call you Alice, but I'm also going to think you need a therapist. And it's that kind of language that got Marjorie Taylor Greene swatted, because she's willing to say stuff like that on the floor of the House. Like, just period. Even if she's wrong, even if she's nuts, even if she's absolutely flippin' psychotic, and there's all this stuff that's come out about how she's narcissistic and cheats on her husband and just all these. Okay, fine. Let's just assume all of those terrible things are correct. She's different from every other politician. How? Oh, she's different in precisely one way. She's actually saying the things most people are too afraid to say. And apparently it works, because she's going to get reelected. So, anyhow, Alex from the TPS report, go sub to them, says, well, no, not on YouTube, because they're moving their live show to Rumble. So go
sub to them on YouTube anyway. If I understand correctly, and Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, but because of YouTube's consistent harassment and censoring of your show, your plan is to move to Rumble for your lives, but to continue putting your edited shorts on YouTube. If I think that's correct, and if that is correct, then it is useful to and helpful to subscribe to them on the YouTubes.
Anyhow, Alex from the TPS report says, how long until the ADA demands urinals in the ladies' room do you think? That's one of those things where, like, even 10 years ago would have been like a headline on The Onion. And now that's actually a discussion worth having.
Yeah, and it's not the bottom of the slope. It is one of the bumps that we'll be thrown over and nauseated by as we slide down the slippery slope on which we already find ourselves careening.
Oh my God, I wish I could reach the top comment badge. Sean Stryker says, edited shorts equal Daisy Dukes.
I approve.
I approve.
That's some effective cutting right there. So
anyhow, there you go. Marjorie Taylor Greene got swatted. It's obviously bullshit. But don't worry, kids. The transgender mafia is not coming for you.
No. So real quick, I'll make this one real quick and I want to hit it for two reasons. I think it's hilarious, and two, one of our viewers yesterday, and I don't remember if it was Danny or Stryker. Boys, feel free to claim credit. Mentioned that Milo Yiannopoulos is the dangerous fag.
His words.
His words. In fact, it was the name of his speaking tour, which was hilarious. So, essentially, one of Donald Trump's most effective trolls is now working for Marjorie Taylor Greene as an unpaid intern. So, Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene hires Milo Yiannopoulos as unpaid intern. And, wow, Milo,
Don't get catty with him. He will hear about it and he will destroy our YouTube channel.
That'd be amazing. You looking a little chunky there, sweetheart.
Well, he's married.
Not anymore.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh. Oh yeah. Milo's post-career has been deeply entertaining.
He got divorced, really?
I don't think he's even gay anymore.
I don't know that I'd go that far.
Right-wing firebrand Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene has tapped none other than the far-right, there it is again, New York Post, far-right, provocateur and British political commentator Milo Yiannopoulos as an intern. Yiannopoulos, 37, said he landed a new gig as an unpaid intern for Greene in a Telegram post alongside a photo of a congressional ID badge. I've finally been persuaded out of retirement, the former Breitbart editor wrote, but my skills are a bit rusty, so the best role I could land was an unpaid internship with a friend. Pray for me. The right-wing button pusher largely remained out of the public eye since 2017 when he made comments allegedly advocating for pedophilia, and that...
Boy, that's an interesting way to put that.
Yeah,
Alleged, because I've listened to the interview. He wasn't advocating for pedophilia. He was pointing out a thing that seems to happen among homosexual men and boys not infrequently. He didn't say that he was advocating, but, we can't go down. That's a disgusting rabbit hole we just don't have time for. But...
Stryker says Milo has done gay conversion therapy. I don't know the details on it, but I have heard him talk about it a little bit, but it's completely separate from that. So Marjorie says, so I have an intern that was raped by a priest as a young teen, was gay, has offended everyone at some point, turned his life back to Jesus and church, and changed his life, Greene told the Daily Beast. Great story. Last year, I could just see her saying that with like all the Trump affectations. It's a great story. It's maybe the greatest story. It might even make a good book. So last year, Yiannopoulos returned to the limelight to announce his coming out as ex-gay to advocate for conversion therapy, a practice that has been condemned time and time again by LGBTQ activists.
I would have to dig way into that.
Yeah, we don't have time to dig way into that.
Oh, no, I mean
but
independently.
I'm thrilled at the idea that we are likely to see more Milo Yiannopoulos going into not just this upcoming midterm, but going into the 2024, into Donald Trump's 2024 presidential win. Because Milo is a lot of things, but chiefly among them, he is hilarious.
Yes.
And effective.
Speaking of things that are...
And that, this story as it sits, I think we've done it plenty of justice. There's just one more thing that we wanted to talk about today. And I'm happy to hang out and go a little over if you want to do the one more there, Cameron.
I mean, let's just get to it.
Let's go ahead and touch this, and we don't have to spend too long on it. Go ahead and set it up.
Okay, so dear leader, the diaper in chief, decided to announce yesterday that Pell Grant recipients that make less than $125,000 a year would get $20,000 of debt forgiveness, and that every other student who's got debt, who has student loans, would get $10,000 in debt forgiveness if you make less than $125,000 a year. So, I mean, they did it, guys. They forgave part of your student loan debt. And for so many reasons, we were actually discussing this in our internal group thread yesterday, trying to decide exactly, where the blowback would land from this, because the government is basically the creditor, okay? And the government gives a student loan. The student doesn't actually have to give the money to the college, which in and of itself is weird, okay? I've known people that have lived off their student loans, for 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
But isn't that for...
Oh, there's a whole class of professional academicians, and they do some work as like teachers' aides or assistant junior professors, et cetera, et cetera. They stay enrolled in college perpetually. They're always taking 1 or 2 classes every semester, and they start off by taking enough classes by going full time for a while, rack up a huge amount of student debt, but then as long as they're still in college, they don't have to pay back the debt. So they just stay in classes until forever.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's keeping you insulated in the academic world. So,
and keep in mind, the whole time they're doing that, they're taking out more loans to subsidize their lifestyle. So they're just constantly snowballing that gigantic debt.
Yeah, so, but as far as exactly where this lands economically, it's difficult to predict, other than it's going to further distort the value of things in our economy and contribute to inflation, because the government is the creditor, basically. And then the government says, oh, we're just going to write off $10,000 of your student loan debt. And, man, there are so many, just putting aside all the economics of it, okay? This, to me, is so wrong, and it makes me suspicious of marijuana legalization. And I'll come back to that. Watch how I tie this together, okay? So your entire life, you go to school. It's illegal to not go to school. In fact, your parents can be arrested for truancy, okay? And then you hear the whole time you're in school, get good grades. You gotta go to college. You gotta go to college. You can't be successful. You're gonna be a loser unless you go to college.
I know a lot of losers.
But your parents only make $45,000 a year, and you got accepted to something that costs $45,000 a year. No problem. No problem. You're not old enough to drink. You're not even old enough to buy tobacco products anymore, but you're totally old enough to take out a $50,000 fucking loan that you cannot write off in bankruptcy. Okay?
Yeah, you just graduated high school. Your options are military service or debt slavery.
Yeah, but you
go.
But you can't, or you can get a job. There's that magic third option.
Yeah, but nobody wants you to know that.
I mean, like, seriously, you could go out and you could get a licensed position, and putting aside the ethics of license for a moment, get trained in plumbing, get a pest control license, get an insurance license. You do not need a college degree for these things, and you can have a comfortable, successful career. But no, you must go to college or you're a loser, and you're going to take on this debt that you literally cannot get rid of unless you go to college. And now they got you. They've got the fish hooks in your genitals, ladies and gentlemen, because you cannot get out from underneath that debt. You can't do it. The thing they told you was okay and good for you your entire life. Now you've got to go to your Oliver fucking Twist. Please, sir, may I have some more? Can I have another $10,000 bailout? Can I have another $10,000 bailout? Makes me suspicious about things like marijuana legalization. Would not at all be surprised if there are negative health consequences associated from smoking marijuana. So that when they flip us all over to socialized medicine and they're allowed to deny you procedures because of lifestyle choices, they can go, oh, did we tell you your whole life that smoking pot was cool? Turns out it's not. So you get to just die at 48 if whatever condition came from. So I'm telling you, man, it is difficult not to put on the tinfoil hat because you're going to take a bunch of young people and you're going to set them up for failure. And big shock, they fail because you give them a fucking gender studies degree instead of in something like, I don't know, goddamn math.
And you know, speaking of your shitty degrees, this is the meme that kind of started the conversation. Some UT Austin students will dissect Taylor Swift lyrics for class credit this semester. Forgive my student loans. I shit you not, one of the classes that was available to me when I went for my film degree, which I paid for with a GI Bill, thank you very much.
Yeah, you want free college?
Oh yeah, I've got all these. I've got all these cool cameras and stuff. And when I was in class at the film school, I'd be like, oh yeah, we could use my gimbal, we can use my slider on this set. And these kids would, oh man, I wish I was made out of money like you are. I'm like, dude, it's not made out of money, kid. I did a military career. The GI Bill pays for my college. I own an insurance brokerage. I'm a grown ass man. It's a big difference between being made out of money and being just a grown-ass man. You don't have to be a billionaire to save up a little money and do things that you like to do with it. You just have to work at it, right? But all that to be said, that's kind of the way that they understand the world. And while I was in the film school doing that, there were classes available to the film program students, like dissecting Disney movies. And it was all about dissecting the Disney princess movies for patriarchy and white privilege and female abuse in blah, 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 lefty speaky, crappy bullshit. And that was going on when I was there, and that was almost 10 years ago. So I want to close the show out on this article, and we'll take as much time as Cameron's comfortable with, I guess, because I got a minute. This is the kind of shit that they're paying for by forgiving those loans. This is what they're taking your money from you at gunpoint for. I understand.
It's not how much time I have; it's how much coffee I have.
I know. I am also running low, but. Let's go through a few of these. So 12 of the craziest college classes in America, all subsidized by your tax dollars. It's common understanding that America's colleges and universities are thick with leftist professors, administrators, and young progressives in training who pay through the nose for a higher education. Yeah, if you mean subsidized with cocaine, I suppose we could call it a higher education. Bunch of fucking junkies. Classes like at the University of Illinois, English 277, Gender in Gaming, examines the history of gender in video games, focusing on how movements like Gamergate and Racefail 09, internet bullying, doxing, and troll. Okay, I can see the value in a class called Gender in Gaming as part of perhaps an MBA with a concentration on marketing in the gaming industry and teaching you how to target pimply young boys to buy your video games. But beyond that, what you're talking about is selecting your target market. This is what Gender in Gaming is all about, is saying, okay, video games are primarily consumed by young men. So let's be cruel to them for no reason other than we're feminists and feminism is cancer. Right?
Well, here's the thing, though. You know what's weird is they're like, oh, how do we get more girls to play video games? You know what I never hear? I never hear a single person ask, how do we get more men to watch the fucking Oxygen Channel?
You know what? I got a better one for you. Instead of asking the question, how do we get more girls to play video games? Why don't you ask this question? If girls aren't interested in video games, what do they want to purchase?
The Oxygen Channel.
Yeah, except the Oxygen Channel doesn't make any money.
Yeah, but the point stands, sir.
Yes, agreed.
I hate to break it to you, but there are differences between men and women. I know that's hard. I know it's hard, but it's a little more than the plumbing.
Like football and volleyball.
Anyhow.
University of Michigan, Women's Studies 434, eco-queer feminist art practices.
What does that even mean?
Underwater basket weaving. It means here's a useless credit that we can charge you money for.
Here we go.
Marx for Today. This course provides students with an introduction to Marxist theory with particular attention to its relevance for the contemporary world. The course will focus on Marx's writings themselves as well as a range of applications and case studies as they relate to gender, race, ethnicity, and social inequality.
Well, here's how you know that they don't talk about class.
Right. And here's something that I want everybody to pay close attention to regarding academia and Marxism. I can tell you that they do not study the actual text of Marx. They discuss cherry-picked pieces of things like Das Kapital, etc. But the fact of the matter is that these people come out believing that Marxism is a moral good and racism is a moral bad. If you have read Marx's writings, that is cognitive dissonance. You cannot believe that Marxism is good while simultaneously believing that racism is bad if you have read Marx. Because a great big part of Marx's arguments were that you need to exterminate the blacks and Jews in order to have Marxism-style socialism and communism. That black people and Jewish people are dangerous to a good, ordered society. That's Marxism 101. And his primary argument with the Jews was about corruption, and his primary argument with the blacks was about laziness. That's Marxism.
Also, if you've read Marx, you can't support gun control of any kind.
Also true.
Marx is proof that even a broken clock's right twice a day.
Not in my house.
Yeah.
Because we run on military time.
Yeah, show me one of those that's got, yeah.
That's a thing.
Where?
I'll order one on Amazon later.
Okay, so you don't currently have one?
No, shut up. My joke still stands. Northwestern University, unsettling whiteness.
Oh, can I do this one?
Please do.
Okay, look, fact. Absolutely inarguable fact. Making historical, political, and cultural formation of whiteness in Western modernity visible and narratable for commentary and analysis. Particular reference to contemporary culture. That was certainly a lot of words, and statistically, some of them should have made sense, but no. So let me translate for you, okay? You are going to learn about how white people are bad now, and white people are bad now because white people have been bad since...
forever.
Since white, okay? That's what you're going to learn. The history of every terrible thing that a white person ever did, and how it oppressed anything that was not... what do they call it? Cishet or whatever that stupid fucking term is.
I don't know.
They've got a term for us that's like cishet, which basically means normal white person.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Anyhow, okay.
That's a new one on me. I know what BIPOC is. I know what WASP is.
So anyhow.
I know what commie shitburgerdom is.
So anyhow, but look, here's the truth, okay? And we talked about this the other day when we were talking about critical race theory. I'm actually okay with teaching critical race theory as long as you really teach critical race theory. Because here's real critical theory, period, okay? Any nation, group, culture, religion, race that has existed for any length of time whatsoever has been both the oppressor and the oppressed. Period. There have been times when England has been the bad guy. There have been times when England has been the good guy. And there has been times when England straddled the line. Same thing with the Jews, the Egyptians, anybody from a Middle Eastern country.
Yep.
Like, Jesus Christ. Man.
Or an Asian country.
They could do that shit in the same day.
And they all did it before the white people did.
So this whole thing that white people
Bye.
invented slavery and oppression and classism and all. No, they didn't. It is a thing that has existed since mankind figured out how to organize himself. I didn't even need to go to college for that. I want my subsidy. What do you think that college gets? Like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to teach that class?
Oh, at least. Easily.
Do you know what I would do with $100,000?
I know what I would do with it.
Oh, I know what I would get us both a black magic. That's what I would do. And you'd go, Cameron, I said I didn't want one. And
That's
I'd be like,
camera.
It's a good camera. Oh, all right. How quick do you think we could chew through the rest of these?
Pretty damn if we don't go on that long a tirade for each.
So I just couldn't help
it. I know.
it.
No, I get it.
It was so stupid.
I dare you not to do it again.
I'll try.
Religion 032, Queering God, Feminist and Queer Theology. Good luck.
The God of the Bible and later Jewish and Christian literature is distinctly masculine, definitively male. Or is he? If we can point out places in traditional writings where God is nurturing, forgiving, and loving, does that mean his God is feminine or female? This course examines feminist and queer writings about God, explores the tensions between feminist and queer theology, and seeks to stretch the limits of gendering and sexing the divine. Key themes include gender embodiment, masculinity, liberation, sexuality, feminist and queer theory. You know, at least that paragraph made sense, as opposed to the absolute fucking word salad that came before it.
So, this idea of God being masculine, or that what was it, nurturing, forgiving, and loving, that those traits are somehow feminine.
Well, women can be totally, absolutely as aggressive and kick-ass as men. Anything you could do, I can do better. However, that whole nurturing,
but
caring...
men can't be as good and kind and loving as women.
Yeah, women can beat up ninjas, but men can't hug their babies. It's not my rules, it's the feminists.
Right. Man bad, woman weak. Forever and ever, amen. It's the, what was it? The evil bad monster thing from forever ago.
Yeah. Oh boy, the next one is amazing. Oh my God.
The idea that God has a gender. Okay. In the same way that war is prior to ethics, as in existed, war was a thing that occurred before ethics existed. Because ethics, they like the buzzword, is a social construct, right? War is not. God is prior to everything.
It's turtles all the way down, people.
Go read the Euthyphro and engage in the deep and complex argument of whether good preexists God. And one of the sides of that argument is that God cannot be good because, having created everything, God existed with all of the attributes that are God prior to the existence of that attribute which is goodness. It is an attribute which he created and assigned to things. But being a thing which he created and assigned, it is not an attribute which he himself possesses. The same argument, however, argues that love predates goodness and that the two concepts are separate. And yeah, good luck with that one. These fucking people call themselves academics. Go ahead.
Oh my God. Let's see. All right.
Oh, sorry, you're over on the chat.
Here we go. Lightning round. Ready for this?
Yeah, let's.
Middlebury College, American Misogyny. In this course, we will explore the place of misogyny in U.S. media and politics. Woo! Hey, was Barack Obama elected because he was male? Just curious.
No.
Early topics will include film noir, Cold War.
Barack Obama was elected to bring the first trans man into the White House.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
Big Mike!
Early topics will include film noir, Cold War gender scapegoating. Jesus. Lesbian pulp fiction. Subsequent topics will include the backlash against second wave feminism, the rise of post-feminism, and the impact of reality TV and social media on feminist and anti-feminist expression. We will conclude by examining how misogyny informs U.S. culture and politics in the Trump era. Throughout the course, we will consider how discourses of misogyny are inflected by white, cisgender, ableist, ageist, and class privilege. You know what that is? That's a more honest description of that one, the unsettling whiteness. That's what. Let's see. Number 7. Latinx. Boy, you know a white person wrote. You ever heard an actual Latin person say Latinx?
They hate it.
Latinx.
When you're so woke that you start abusing other people's languages.
Oh God.
I don't care if you grew up in Mexico. I'm gonna tell you how to speak your Spanish.
Right. Latinx sexual dissidence and guerrilla translation. And notice the spelling. That's not like, gorilla. That's like, no, get down on your fucking knees.
It's a guerrilla, not a gorilla.
Despite local differences in social cultural contexts, there are also remarkable convergences in subcultural minority activisms focused on... Okay,
God,
I'm done.
I'm
done.
move on.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
It goes on, and
That's like a leftist meme. You know
Marx
what?
in the 21st century, that's just a rehash of the same garbage that we saw.
Queering childhood?
Let's have these two characters kiss. Let's, in the background, like, I was just, wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to, like, if you see any...
Queering childhood. You were saying?
The interdisciplinary course examines the figure of the child and how this figuration is used by politics, law, and medicine to justify continued cultural investment in reproductive heteronormativity and productive able-bodiedness. In doing so, we examine the queer and crip children and childhoods against which the figure of the child is articulated. The course draws on work in gender studies, childhood studies, disability studies, queer theory, including Julian Jill Peterson, Allison Kafer, Lee Edelman, and Catherine Boyd Stockton. What you want to bet you Google all those names and there's some suspicious sexual activity in their past.
You know what? I bet you if you Google all those names, you'll find them in this.
Your children will work to convert all the sisters and brothers.
Is it too much?
It's too much. I stopped it. I didn't let him play the whole clip. You guys can thank me. All right. But queering childhood, like, okay. All right, guys, here's the thing. What you refer to as heteronormative reproductivity is how the species propagates. Okay? It's not bad to want to grow up and have your own family. It's just not. Okay. Like, oh my God. And the fact that you're going to say queer, that is a strange name. Queering children. Like, I just want to make sure that I'm...
Yes, that's what they used.
Queering childhood. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's...
But they're totally not coming for your children.
Oh,
they're
my
totally
God.
coming for your children. That's why Gonzo's a trans now.
University of Georgia. Oh, no, not UGA. Not UGA. This is your college football champions right here. Examination of Cuba's social history from the 18th century to the present. Focus on the struggles from freedom from slavery, Spanish colonialism, U.S. imperialism, and other forms of oppression.
How can you teach this class? The Spanish never had slaves. That would make them white.
The class will seek to explain how various sectors striving for freedom in the island, especially Afro-Cubans. Sure, because Afro-Cubans have it worse than everybody else on that island that just... Okay, sure.
Global capitalism and racism.
Don't even need to read that paragraph. Nope. And then finally,
Humanity
let's end on...
or nah?
What? Brown University.
Wow. Because of course.
Oh, look at that. Sexual memories articulated by Zykants? I'm Latinx, Native American, and Africana scholars, artists, activists, and cultural workers that resist the regimes of anti-blackness, colonialism, and white supremacy. Students will engage in scholarly and artistic works that exemplify how blackness rejects, while simultaneously marking in many ways, the limits of logic and gender and sexuality, exposing the colonial underpinnings of man and modern ideas of human. Well, hold up, swole up. Hold up. You're going to tear apart gender and even literal race, but not blackness. Okay.
And I would just like to point out that those are the same people, and you come back up here to the queering childhood thing, right? And they talk about the humanity and just defining things as human, and we mustn't allow things to be dehumanized.
Except
it's a
people.
Baby.
R.I.P. headphone users.
Right, 15 days after it's born, it's a baby. Right, 9 months before it's born, it's a baby. Don't kill babies. These people, the queering your childhood people, the humanizing the minority people, the ones that want to make the argument that people on the right argue that certain minorities are not humans, are the same party that argued for slavery on the basis that blacks are not human and therefore do not have the rights guaranteed under the Constitution.
Yeah, what are they going to do?
And they are making the
Darwin?
same argument. They are continuing to make the same argument to support their deep desire to terminate pregnancies, to murder babies in the womb. And, like we've shown you before, to do it within a few hours or even up to 15 days after birth. Right? What was it, Missouri, where they were trying to pass the law that basically the headline was, if your baby dies under any circumstances within the first 15 days after birth, there will be no investigation. Basically, you've got 15 days to return to sender. Jesus Christ, the sycophantic psychopathy of these people cannot be understated.
Anyhow, these are just some, albeit some extreme examples, but these are some examples of what Joe Biden wants to forgive. And I know that he's not forgiven the debt of anybody with a degree in, say, I don't know, marine biology. You know how I know that?
Because they make over $150,000 a year?
Well, no. Well, yes, but I was actually going to take that in a slightly different direction. It's a STEM degree, so they could get a real job when they got out of college.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant, but yeah. All right. Jesus, we are almost a half hour long. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I got shit to do, so we love you. Click the link below to buy me a coffee, and
Please.
We will see you tomorrow for Firearms
out
Friday.
Of coffee.
Yeah, we both, I got close. Be safe out there.